converted man here. TrilliumUnitedChurch has bad arguments for God, but of course they're not calling it arguments for God, they're calling it evidence for God, even though the guy admits they don't have empirical evidence, but they do have arguments for God. I don't know why they wouldn't just call it arguments for God, but whatever. Anyways, let's check this out.
Hi, my name's Mark, one of the pastors at Trillium.
Hi, Mark.
This week I'm going to try to show you that there are strong empirical reasons for belief in God. They're not proofs, but they're certainly inferences that lead us in favor of belief in God.
Okay, so empirical reasons, but they're not proof, but they're come on, you gotta decide what the bleep they are, man.
And they are found in 5 basic areas.
Here we go.
The need for a necessary cause of the universe.
All right.
The extreme fine-tuning of the universe.
Oh, bleep.
The unlikely planetary conditions necessary for life. God is the first cause for life on Earth.
Do what now?
The failure of Darwin to explain the origin of species.
Irrelevant.
Now, something had to get the universe going.
All right, here we go. Let's start with this. Something had to get the universe going. Geez, we don't know. Actually, we do not know, and that's it. We don't know. That's the answer. There is no. Oh, it has to. No, we don't. We have no idea. We do not know about this, and so. I got a clip of a cosmologist here. Let's just see if I can get that up here. Let's see. We don't know. Okay, so this is...
If you go back to beyond those first 3 minutes, we really have to say almost nothing because we are not capable. In other words, going backwards from the first 3 minutes, as famous Steven Weinberg titled his book, we actually marks a point where ignorance takes over. In other words, we can't speculate on what happened 3 minutes before the preponderance of hydrogen was formed in our universe.
So there you go. We don't know. From this guy's a scientist. I'll go with him. That's one example of somebody saying we don't know. So I'll just go with that. We don't know.
We know this because we discovered in the 20th century that the universe had an absolute beginning.
Okay, so yeah, this again, we can't go before that T4 there. We can't go before that. So saying it has an absolute beginning, well, kind of, maybe, we think so, possibly, but even if we say, okay, it does, we don't know anything about that. So, and even if we absolutely knew it had a beginning, we wouldn't know anything about how it began yet. There's a whole nother layer of science there that we'd have to tackle. We'd have to figure all that out. So this is just assertions without any proof. This is using the ideas that we have and then adding on to them. Well, we know of cause and effect, so why can't we just extrapolate that all the way back? Well, because we don't know if cause and effect keeps going. There's a point where we just don't know what the physics of the universe would be like, and if the physics of the universe are different, well then, who knows what that's like?
Then we believed the universe was eternal, had no beginning, had no end. But in the 20th century, we discovered that the universe had an absolute beginning. Something had to cause the universe to come into existence.
Okay, now that's an unwarranted extrapolation from the known data. Something had to cause it. We don't know. Well, we don't know that for sure. We don't. Now, it might seem like, well, but I mean, it's obvious that something caused it. But we don't know. We do not know. Scientists do not know. We haven't made the observations. We haven't made the concrete theory of it. So, just speaking purely from a scientific point of view, this is wrong. To say anything at this level is just wrong. We do not know is the actual answer. We do not know that there must be a cause in this sense. But keep going with the broken column, because that's basically what this is.
We understand this through the law of causation. Things cause other things that cause other things.
Yep.
What was it, or who was it, that knocked over the first domino?
Okay, so what was it or who was it assumes there was a what or assumes there was a who. Maybe it just always was in motion. And you say, well, but that doesn't make sense. Doesn't have to make sense. Maybe the initial starting point is that there isn't anything to cause it. It just happens. Now, that's a very weird idea, but it could be. Who knows? We do not know. Everything about this is pure speculation.
That started the universe into existence, that knocked the first domino, the Big Bang, that caused the rise of the universe that we know today. Now, cosmologists have been spending the last 40 years trying to undermine the notion of the need for a first cause, but I don't.
No, they haven't been trying to undermine it. They've been saying that we don't know, which is an honest answer. So do you have anything, scientific papers, that you have to offer in rebuttal to this? No? Then shut up. Seriously, who cares? Put up or shut up, honestly. Get your stuff out there in the scientific field and battle it there. Otherwise, just keep to yourself your silly ideas about what you think is the way that we should look at things, because you're not a cosmologist. So put up or shut up.
I don't think they've found a solution to it. There's ultimately a call back to first cause. And who is the first cause? Who was or what is the first cause of the universe?
And again, you're assuming the conclusion. Who or what assumes there was a who or what. We don't know. We don't even know that there was a cause. We have no idea. And you say, oh, well, they're trying to undermine it. No, they're trying to discover what the bleep is really going on for real. That's not undermining anything. That's a search for the truth. That poisoning of the well that you did there isn't working.
And I think still today, the best candidate for that is God, or some mind behind all things.
Okay, that doesn't matter. What you think is the best candidate is irrelevant. What matters is what the actual answer is. And we don't know that right now. We have no idea. We're not even close on that yet. Speaking purely, again, scientifically. But you're not doing that. You're just doing what? Philosophy? Kind of crappy philosophy at that, since your argument is not even an argument yet. But keep going, please. Yes, I want to hear more about how wrong you are. Keep telling me your things that are wrong. All right.
It's one thing to start a universe, but how does a universe evolve in such a way that it is capable of creating intelligent life?
Well, that's kind of looking at things backwards, because you're assuming that there's a conclusion that the universe is trying to get to. That's not the way to look at it. The universe unfolds, and however it unfolds, and life is a thing that may or may not arise in that universe. So if it's a universe where life can arise, then life might arise. Maybe it won't. If it's a universe where life cannot arise, then life definitely will not ever arise in such a universe. So to look at it and go, oh, well, surely life was the thing that the universe was getting ready for, it's just ridiculously silly. It's putting the cart before the horse. It's assuming that life is this all super powerful, important thing that the universe was preparing itself for however many billions of years that it had to work to get to that point. That's just silly. The universe is what, 13.7 billion years old, give or take. So when did it start winding up to where it could support life? At what point did it do that? Was it immediately? No, because life couldn't exist immediately. You had to have all the different elements created. So that was, how long into the universe's age was that? And even then, you couldn't necessarily have life yet. Well, of course, then it depends what life is, but it's just looking at it as backwards.
There's incredibly fine-tuned parameters, physical parameters that work in the universe.
No, and this is again another thing, another time that theists are wrong about fine-tuning. Once again, it's not what they think it is. They think it's this precise thing that's like, oh, if this thing was even a little bit different, life would not be possible, right? And they think that this has been tuned for life. No. What it is they've discovered certain parameters that the type of life that we know about fits into. It's like, okay, the gravity has to be certain amount. Otherwise, life as we know it couldn't be. That doesn't mean no life could be. It just means our type of life couldn't be. So if that factor was different, then things would be different. That's all it means. It's not this thing that they try to make it to be.
Weak nuclear force to the strong nuclear force to the impact of gravity or the constant cosmological constant that gives rise to the expansion rate of the universe, the initial entropy state of the universe, the amount of disorder at the beginning of the universe. There's a whole number of these physical constants, these physical parameters that are absolutely necessary for a universe capable of sustaining life.
Yeah.
How did this happen? Did they just...
It's a good question. How did it happen? Well, it happened over long periods of time. I'm not sure how long. What's interesting is, of course, one could maybe find out what we know and present the facts of the matter, or we could just, go, well, I don't know. I mean, it seems to be this answer. That seems to be a good answer. Why would I bother doing any actual research on it when I can just pretend that I know the answer?
Just happen randomly?
Maybe.
Certainly it looks to me and many that it was a setup job. That
it looks to you. That's irrelevant. How it looks to you doesn't matter. What it really is what matters. So using your own intuition is irrelevant, and it's not a way to get to the truth. It is not a good methodology.
There was some intelligence behind the parameters of the universe that gives rise.
How do you know that?
To the possibility of life. We take the Earth.
Now, of course, this does lead into the typical paradox that we have to bring up, and we don't have a choice. If you're saying that that the universe requires this intelligence, then why doesn't that intelligence also need an intelligence? And you're going to say, well, because it just doesn't. It's immune from the need that the other things have, right? It's special. It's its own. It has this exception to it. It gets a special pleading exception. But it's just nonsense. If you need intelligence for the universe, then you're going to need a universe for that intelligence, and then you're going to need an intelligence for that universe, and so on and so forth. And you're never going to get anywhere with that. I think it's far easier to just admit that we do not know, and hopefully maybe we'll figure it out, but who knows if we ever will. But what we do know for sure is that this is not the answer. We know that because the methodology of getting to this answer cannot get you to the truth. This methodology is, I think it looks this way. That's the answer. I guess that it's this. I just feel like that's the right answer. And that's not a methodology you would use to get to anything. So the methodology is flawed. Thus, the answer is flawed.
For granted, there are some that think it's a very unremarkable place. But I think as we've begun to grow in our knowledge of what's necessary for a planet to be able to sustain life, we've come to recognize that the Earth is actually quite a remarkable place. I've seen lists that have 150 attributes necessary to sustain life on a planet.
That's nice. I mean, I guess you could have provided those lists if you thought they were so important. You didn't. Looking at your description here. No, you didn't. You didn't provide the list. Let's see. See? Look, nothing. No citations, nothing. Okay, you've seen lists. Yeah, that's nice. And did you verify that those lists are true or that they mean anything? No. Okay, so it's just like, wow, this is amazing. Therefore, God. Yeah.
Being not only able to host liquid water, which was once thought to be the only condition necessary for life, but having the right type of star. You need a star that endures long enough, yet gives off enough heat. Turns out there's not that many stars in our galaxy or in the universe that are like the sun that we have.
You have what? Where are you getting that idea from? You just pulled that right out of nowhere. Who says that? Who the bleep says that? Where's your citation for that? But even if that was the case, and I doubt very much, press F to doubt that that's the case, you would at best be talking of the type of life that we know about, not other types of life. So it's like, well, I mean, it's just, it's not very many, okay. Yeah, it's like, okay, and so it's rare. Well, it's really, really rare. And so what? But it's super rare. And it's like there's only one. Okay. And so what? Why does that matter? Even if there was just one planet that had life and we're it, why does that matter? It's just like, well, but how? That's a good question. Let's figure it out. But let's not figure it out by using this methodology of just like, well, I mean, I don't know. It must be God.
We need a planet that rotates at a certain speed, has had a certain tilted axis, has a moon of some type, a satellite that orbits around it that stabilizes its orientation.
Blah,
we need
blah,
a planet
blah.
that rotates at a certain speed.
No, we don't, because those parameters could be slightly different, and we could still have life as we know it. It'll be slightly different than as we know it, but still, we could have the moon be a little bit closer, further away. The sun could be a little bit bigger or smaller. We could be closer to the sun or farther away. And, life would be slightly different, but pretty much the same. But again, this is just if things were different, they'd be different. It's not an argument for anything. Keep going.
Has a liquid iron core, lives in the proximity of a giant planet like Jupiter that it can absorb all the asteroids and comets that would otherwise potentially destroy life as it takes hold on a planet. We actually on Earth exist in the right.
Well, Jupiter didn't save the dinosaurs, but I guess Jupiter just had the day off that day. What's going on, Sailor Jupiter? You don't like dinosaurs? No, I hate dinosaurs. Thanks, Sailor Jupiter.
Right part of the galaxy. We're on a part of one of the spiral arms. If we were at the core of the galaxy, where most of the stars are, the radiation levels would just be too high to be able to sustain life.
Life as we know it.
I've come across lists that have 150, maybe even 200 of these necessary attributes.
Oh my word!
If they're right, then it means that statistically speaking, there shouldn't even be one planet in the whole universe that can sustain life.
That's not how statistics work. Pretty sure that's not how statistics work. Pretty sure you don't know how statistics work, though. But yeah, so what? It's highly improbable. Yeah? So? Appeal to improbability. Doesn't mean anything. It's highly improbable that I am, and that Germania, who I see in my chat, he's saying, look at the trees, Decover Man. No, I don't want to look at the damn trees. If you added up all the ways, so let's say you're in America, okay, and there's been polls done, whatever, different research done, percentage of Americans who die in the bathroom. Okay, did you go to the bathroom today? All right, then you passed the odds of that. Percentage of Americans who choked to death today. Did you eat today? Well, then you surpassed that percentage, didn't you? Percentage of Americans that slipped and fell in the kitchen. Were you in the kitchen at any time today? Oh, then you passed that. Did you drive? Then you passed that. There's 100,000 different parameters of things that kill Americans every day that you've surpassed to be alive at this moment. That must mean something. Woo! Because if you want to add statistical improbabilities, then it's impossible that we're alive. But yet, here we are. We're alive. It must be a miracle. Or maybe that's just not how statistics really work, and we're just extrapolating in a way that we shouldn't. I don't know. One of those two.
And yet here is the earth, full of life. How can this be?
How can
sure
this
looks
be?
like a setup job to me.
Oh, that's nice.
And then there's the question of how did life take hold on the planet? It's one of the great mysteries.
We have no. I mean, abiogenesis is still ongoing, so I think they're doing pretty good with it. I don't know how far they've gotten with it, but yeah, this is again. I don't know the answer. Must be God.
Working hypothesis about how inorganic material became living system.
Yes, there is.
We've discovered DNA. It's another one of the remarkable discoveries.
Yeah, and before that's RNA. We know about that.
DNA is essentially a coded molecule.
It's
a molecule that's got embedded information in it.
Yeah.
How did inorganic material give rise to a molecule of the complexity and sophistication of DNA?
Well, there's this thing called biological evolution and abiogenesis. You might want to research it. They actually have the answers to some of those questions there, but this is nothing than an appeal to personal ignorance and or personal incredulity. I don't know how this thing works. Therefore, God, how does this work? I don't understand it. So it's got to be this other thing that I think is true. That's got to be the answer because I don't understand. I'm asking a question. I don't know the answer. How did this happen? Well, I don't know. Must be God then. Geez, get educated. Seriously, these videos are irritating me with how woefully undereducated these people are on science. It's like this is like what second, third? I don't know. I've lost count of how many times it's been the same sort of thing. Like, I don't know how this works. It's like, yeah, well, go study it. Jeez.
It seems unfathomable. The more we study the complexity of the simplest life forms, the more remarkable they become. The more mysterious life becomes to us.
To you, maybe, but not to the rest of us that have any education on this subject. But, okay.
How did inorganic material give rise to complex, sophisticated molecules like DNA and also the living systems of the simplest of cells?
It took a while. How did it do it? Very carefully, over a lot of time. Things had to combine together. Why not just look up abiogenesis and find out what the information says about it? I don't know. But this is just, I don't know, therefore God. Okay, what else? Do you got anything actual of substance here, or is this it?
We don't know.
Yeah.
It sure looks to me like another setup job. We know that when we find information, coded information, digital information, it always presumes behind it a working mind, an intelligence.
What do you mean by information? That's an important point. Here's the thing. Okay, dunes. I mean, not the movie, but the, dunes and sand. Created by wind. Now, here's the problem is, if we're going to assume that everything was created by some powerful, omnipotent, mystical God thing, whatever, then, well, those dunes in the sand, they have a deeper meaning. What do you mean? Well, look, if you played them like a record, like on a record player, they'd make music. Maybe not good music, but they'd make some sort of sound. Right? Because there's curves, there's ups and there's downs. And so, well, we need to run a giant needle over the sands to hear the music of God. And why not? Because that's information made by God. Or, well, it's made by wind, but wind is made by God, right? Everything's made by God. So you don't have an example of something that isn't made by God to compare the thing that is made by God from. So there's a problem there, because all the analogies then break down. The whole, idiotic watchmaker argument completely falls apart if you have nothing to compare it to. So I get that you don't know this stuff, but that doesn't then mean God did it.
Could that be the case for life on this planet? I think the evidence certainly leans in favor of that understanding.
What evidence?
If God or some higher intelligence did ultimately tip over that first life on planet Earth, knocked over the first domino that got life started on planet Earth, then the question is, well, how did life develop on our planet? What were the mechanisms that gave rise to the variety of life?
Not even that. What about that entity itself? Because it too has to have an explanation. But you're going to avoid that, right? You're just more appealing to personal incredulity. You don't know, therefore God. All right. Not impressed.
That we experience now on our Earth. Charles Darwin, back in 1859, proposed a very simple mechanism.
We're past Darwin. We're in neo-Darwinianism as far as that stuff goes. So nothing you're about to say matters.
Natural selection working on random variation, genetic mutation as we understand it today.
Yeah.
And Darwin proposed slow incremental change over long periods of time to give rise to a variety of species.
Yeah.
The problem that we found, though, is the fossil evidence doesn't support Darwin.
Yes, it does.
There is a lacking of these intermediate fossils.
No, there isn't. Not really.
Show incremental change over long periods of time.
Okay, so you're just denying biological evolution. You're one of those morons. Okay, all right.
It seems that many species simply arrive fully formed.
Yeah, it seems that way because you're a moron and you don't know what the actual science is. Yeah, not everything fossilizes. Oh! Duh. Anyways, this guy's a moron. But yeah, keep being moronic because you haven't proven anything other than you don't know anything yet.
How can Darwin's hypothesis explain this? We know better today what is necessary for a new species to arise. A new species needs a new body plan. A new species needs new information for this new body plan.
What?
A new species needs new proteins for sustaining the body plan and making
That's not how things work.
So we need new information, we need new body plan, we need new proteins.
No.
In order for a new species to arise. Where does this new information come from?
That's not how things work.
How does this new information enter into the system of life?
How does it work? I don't know.
New creation to take place. And the answer is we don't really understand.
Therefore, God.
Know the answer Evolutionary scientists today are certainly moving beyond Darwin.
Yeah.
There's now what's called extended evolutionary synthesis. It's meant to replace Darwin's hypothesis.
It already
did. Because many evolutionary scientists recognize that Darwin's proposal, natural selection working on genetic mutation, is insufficient to explain the origins of species.
No, not really. But we have moved past Darwin in many ways, but I guess this is just you being completely ignorant of science. I kind of feel like sending this video to Aaron Raw and see if he'll do anything with it. I mean, there's so much to correct this idiot about. Anyways.
Well, this doesn't prove that, of course, that God is the source of the.
Yeah, it doesn't prove a damn thing about God. Doesn't show anything.
What it does mean is that the cudgel that's been used by Darwin against people of faith has been removed from us.
What? Darwin isn't a. What? It has nothing to do with it. God, you think Darwin's being used as a cudgel against faith? No. Oh my God, you're just so ignorant. It's hilarious. Keep going though. Almost done.
We don't need to fear or be worried about Darwin's hypothesis being used as an argument against God. So what I want to show you today is that there is a lot going on out in the scientific community and scientific research and scientific understanding that actually supports belief in God. It doesn't
like what?
prove belief in God,
What?
but it
Where?
certainly shows to us that believing in God can be a rational decision.
What? Wait, what? No, wait. What? What in science does that? Where? You have no citations. Nothing. You have nothing. Nothing. What the bleep? Oh my God. That's it? Just the I it's just wow. I mean, it's just I got nothing, man. I got nothing. That's it. It's just no. It's just no. I mean, it's just this. This is what it is.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
Yeah, there you go. That's what happened here. Everything he said was wrong. None of it leads to God. None of it points to God. There's no science that suggests anything that he's saying it suggests. So, that was it. That's the end of that video. Thanks for watching. Lobsters.